And I am determined that I will win this, that like COVID won't win, kidney disease won't win, whatever it is that we've got to do, because the main thing that I want him to see is that no matter what you face, you keep going. Mm-hmm. You keep, no matter how many no's, no matter how many letdowns, no matter how many door closes, you keep going, because at some point that everything is going to align just where it needs to be, how it needs to be. That's God is holding our hand the whole way. And he's never going to leave nor forsake you. You just got to have faith.
Like book number 1, Good Morning Levi, and that is about how to start our mornings off with positive and how to get out of the bed. He says positive affirmations in the mirror. My mom likes to talk about how she was raised in a great and powerful man, which is that's me. And he says I'm the fastest, I'm the strongest, I'm the smartest, I'm the best.
Welcome to the Americus Podcast, where we pursue what it means to become a next level neighbor, creating a place we enjoy with the people we love. I'm your host, John Schroeder, and today I'm joined by Valerie Trice and Brandon Bridges. Valerie and Brandon have been a part of Levi's studio. We're going to be talking about that in just a minute, but thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for having us. I'm so excited to be here and to just share our story.
Me too.
Amazing. Good. Well, listen, on the online form, we talk a little bit about kind of what the expectations are. You filled that out, and I saw Valerie Trice and Brandon, and I didn't know originally that Brandon was an 11-year-old. And so I just want to congratulate you, Brandon, on being our youngest guest on the podcast. That's pretty cool. So you got an honor already today. That's pretty cool. So we're going to talk a little bit about Brandon, but we're going to have Valerie kind of start us off. Now, you talked a little bit about, on the online forum, about just being born in Americus and being raised here.
Yes, sir. All 42 years I've been here in Americus, grew up in Americus, went to Sumter County School Systems, and was a student right here in Americus. And when I graduated from Americus High in 2001, I decided, even though there were several offers, that I wanted to stay here and be part of my community. So I went to school at Georgia Southwestern. My mom was an employee there. She actually worked in the cafeteria.
Okay.
And so I was kind of on that campus most of my childhood, hanging out with college students that she'd chosen to be mentors. So it was an easy transition for me to just kind of slide into the Georgia Southwestern community. And as I got there, just kind of exploring some things, I actually came into college thinking I wanted to be an orthodontist.
Okay.
If you go back to my childhood friends on Facebook when I'm talking to my classmates, and they say, I remember when you wanted to be an orthodontist. Mm-hmm. So actually, I was a part of the Outward Bound program at Georgia Southwestern, which was a program for first generation college students. Mm. And I was the first one of all my siblings to go. My sisters and brothers went as well. And we had a director, Mr. Gene Thomas, who's become a mentor in my life. And I was actually doing work study with him. And he was saying, well, it's time. It was my second year, I think. Time to kind of just, what's your major? What do you want to be? And at that time, I switched from an orthodontist and told him I wanted to major in psychology. And he started laughing. I'm like, okay, I'm not joking here. What's going on? And he actually said, Valerie, that's not your major. You're going to be a teacher. That's what you're going to be. And I kind of just sat back and thought about it, like, a teacher. Maybe he's right. I guess what kind of just that defining moment was, growing up in Sumter County School Systems, I had some amazing teachers that are still a part of my life. Mr. Clyde McGrady was one of the best principals. Mr. Robert Hill, who passed away when I was in his class. Delphine McGrady, those people actually shaped who I was. And just thinking about it, I wanted the opportunity at that point to say, hey, I want to go back and what those people did for me, because I was shy, quiet, always smart, a straight A student, but just not very outgoing. And through those teachers, those people, and the Outward Bound program, it kind of shaped me into who I am today. Now you probably can't get me to be quiet.
Yeah.
But just thinking about, I can go back into my community and the same thing that they did for me, Ms. Victoria Harris being one of my mentors, I can go back and I can do that for our children. And actually, I enjoyed my time at Staley Middle School. That's one of the best times of me growing up as a student and also my teaching career. My goal at that point was to actually go back and teach at Staley Middle School. So That's what I wanted to do. And so I just started my education journey. And the more I got into it, the more I saw that Mr. Thomas was actually right. He knew me better than I knew myself at the moment. And just education and being an educator here in Sumter County, most importantly, just became a part of who I am as a person. So, and my actual first teaching job was at Staley Middle School, and my 6th grade homeroom teacher and mentor, Miss Victoria Harris, was my first principal.
Wow. So it came full circle is what
Yes.
you're telling me. That's an amazing story.
Yes.
I love that. Now, so, okay, growing up in Americus then, what kind of personality did you have? What did you have nicknames? Kind of what was your dynamics? What were you up to?
I was quiet.
Okay.
The shy student in the back of the class, like I say, straight A, but a reader. I just love to read, participate in books, those types of things, but not very outgoing. Now, the kind of flip side of that is I had lots of friends, and there were lots of friends, and I wouldn't have considered myself one of the popular people, but those are the people that kind of gravitated to me. So those were my friends, but not very outgoing. My mom, even in high school, would just like, don't you want to go out and do stuff? But I kind of just stayed to myself. But Americus has always felt home to me and welcoming to me. And I'm comfortable in my community, but it's just my space and my portion to just kind of sit back and watch. And then based on what I watch and what I see, then I kind of, even then as a child, kind of based on what I do then as well. And I started actually writing poetry when I was maybe in 5th grade here and kind of sharing it with people and got a lot of warm responses from people in the community. So that kind of harbored my desire to keep moving forward with those in America. But I was a real shy, quiet kid, not very outgoing at all.
Okay. So we talk a little bit on the podcast just about entrepreneurship and its need, obviously, not just in Americus, but, around the world, that people would continue to be creative and push forward. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is just being able to receive and move forward, even with a bunch of no's, right? Well, you get used to the word no.
Right.
And so I'm sure that there have been several moments that have kind of, as you mentioned, kind of defined you as saying, okay, as I wanted to pursue this career or go to the school or anything like that, is there anything that helped define you even when you ran into an obstacle like that, whether even it's in kind of the families like, oh, you shouldn't do that or we can't do that?
So this whole journey of entrepreneurship, Levi Studio started with a no. Not necessarily no, but just a turn in my career that I wasn't expecting. So a lot of, I share my story a lot on Facebook. So in 2015, I was diagnosed with end-stage renal failure and I started dialysis. And I started the journey at home. I'm still trying to my career. Brandon was born in 2013. So he was about 2 years old when I started dialysis. I was still pushing forward, still doing what I had to do. I would actually go to work in the morning. I was at Sumter Middle then. I would go to work in the morning, come home in the afternoon, grab Brandon, do homework, what I had to do. About 7 o'clock at night, I would do dialysis till about 11 and then get up in the morning and just start all over again. Well, in around maybe 2017, with all the changes within our school system and the dynamics within our school, Sumter County Middle School went through a lot. I kind of ran into some things that I did not think were conducive to what I believed as an educator, and then along with my health. So at that point, I made a decision, a very difficult decision, because I'm diehard Sumter County Schools. Like, I believe in the vision, I believe in the mission, I believe in what's going on, I believe in the kids. But at that time, I made the decision to leave on FMLA. I just, at that point, what was going on in my building with the leadership was just not working for me. At that time, I left in December on FMLA, and I decided at the end of the school year that I would make a change. One of my former principals, Ms. Sharon Marcus, was in the Dooley County school system, and I spoke with her about an ELA position, which is what I taught, language arts and reading, 8th grade. And so I went in and I interviewed for the position. And at that time, her team decided, even though I was interviewing for a teaching position with my background and the training that I had in Sumter County Schools, that they wanted me in their media center and asked me would I accept that. So I said yes. I worked in the media center starting in 2000. So this is around 2018, 19. I worked there up until COVID. COVID came in March and we all left. I left and I was home up until August, and I went back against the advice of Ms. Marcus and did some workshops for the teachers and got sick with COVID. So this was the turning point. This is where everything kind of just went left. And I actually ended up being in the hospital about 33 days. And I was on the ventilator 10 days. What my family was told at that time was that with my health, what was already going on, there was nothing that they can do and to prepare for the worst. Well, on day around 9, I started back breathing on my own, just a little bit of each time. And eventually I woke up 10 days later. I have no recollection of what happened. And so all of that was an uphill process from then. Coming back home, physical therapy, learning how to walk, those type of things. Like, it was a really big turning point for us.
Yeah.
So
how old was Brandon during that time?
Brandon this was in 2019, so he was about 4.
Okay.
And he talks about that as being a very difficult time and some of his memories. So, like, what was that like for you, Brandon? Like, we've talked about it, but how did you feel during that time?
Yeah.
How did that change you? COVID and me being in the hospital that long.
Yeah.
Like, was it difficult? What do you remember from that time?
You were just gone for a long time.
And how did that make you feel? Like, was it?
I felt scared because you were like on the ventilator. I didn't really know what that meant. I still don't know what that means, but you talk about it badly. So
yeah, it means that I wasn't breathing on my own. I had a machine that was breathing for me, kind of like the dialysis machine does what my kidneys do. Yeah. So, like, I needed help breathing.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let me tell you something. It's amazing that you're still here. Praise the Lord. And also, Brandon, you got a strong mama over here. You got a fighter over here. You should be really proud of your mama. And I'm proud of you. I mean, you're still here. You're still connected, right? You still want to see some good things. So that's really great. So after that, how did that kind of transition?
Right. So the first year afterwards, my principal at the time, he allowed me to work completely from home. Mm-hmm. Well, then coming back the second year, I was still having some issues, some mobility issues. And I asked at that time, would it be possible for me to work from home? And on the days that I can come in, come in. Mm-hmm. And I was told no. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of battled. I was having to have some other surgeries at the time. We kind of, I don't want to say battled, but we went back and forth. So Miss Victoria Harris, my first principal, she's always told me that everybody in the building ought to be doing what's best for kids. And if you're no longer able to do that, then step to the side so that someone else can. So in November of that year, we actually, while I was home, I was still working from home, even though I was on FMLA. We started our first book, which was Good Morning Levi. And that kind of came out of my relationship with Brandon and helping him through some things as well. So at that time, I received an email saying that I actually come in the building to do the book fair for the students because the kids still needed what they did. And I was trying to push through for the students that I had to make a decision. Either I was coming back in the building to work, but I would no longer be allowed to stay. I had used all my FMLA time. And if I came back into the building, I would have to go back as a classroom teacher. Now, I've loved teaching. I love being in the classroom. I love being with students. But I know that with my health and what I had going on, a teacher that's absent was not beneficial for the students. So it was a hard decision for me. At that time, I did not want to let go of my teaching career. It's my passion. It's my happy place. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of started thinking about it, taking advice from different people. And I had to do some searching within myself. Yeah. The kids also need a media specialist. Mm-hmm. They need somewhere to bring resources. They need someone there to support their teachers. And unfortunately, no matter how passionate I am about it, no matter how much I'm doing from home, the kids are not getting the full benefit of what they need. Yeah. So through a lot of prayer, a lot of emotions, I made the decision at that time to say, like, as you said, I've been fighting this thing for a long time. There are some things I need to do for myself so that I can get this kidney transplant so I can recover from COVID. These kids need a full-time educator in the building, providing for them. And at the end of the day, Brandon needs his mama. And I've got to take care of myself. So at this point, maybe I need to take a step back. And I chose to medically retire. We already released the first book. And I was restless home. We were maybe just restless. I was getting great success and feedback from the book, but I just felt like I can't be in the classroom. I can't be in a school building. But my passion is with these kids. I want to do more. And I actually posted on Facebook one day and saying, I'm joking. Is anybody hiring because this teacher needs something to do? And someone said, why don't you take it to the next level? Why don't you start offering after-school tutorials? And so I started with after-school tutorials. I got a lot of feedback, people from surrounding counties, all being in Macon County. And as I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, like, I still want more. So that's when I started looking at the journey with Brandon, helping build his self-esteem. At the time, he was not a reader. So that's why we released the first book and thinking, if I take this and I start writing books that are, one, focused on characters that look like him, motivational, that building his self-esteem, because a lot of it, I don't think with our kids is necessarily, they don't have the mental capacity. They just need to be motivated and pushed. So I started with Brandon and Good Morning Levi, because I believe in affirmations, started with, positive affirmations, how we start our mornings out. We were having horrible mornings at the time. So just doing that. And then I saw the effect and the positivity that morning affirmations, changing what we do in the morning, our routine, that it had on him. And I was just like, you want to reach kids. Maybe this is the next lesson. Why not share this with other children, other families, other parents that are having horrible mornings, that little boys that there are great books out there, great resources, but a variety. Not saying that we need just all books with one type of main character, all one demographic, but little boys that look like Brandon, that wear their hair like Brandon. So when those little boys open those books, that's something positive they can see as well. They can still read whatever else is out there because variety is great. And as people started buying the books and I got all this positive feedback and I'm like, wow, like there was actually a need for this. I saw it in my community, people reaching out. And so we just continued with it. We went with our second book, which was No One Like You, which is my love letter to my son. Just there's no one like him. There's only one Brandon in the world. And even with everything that may go well, that may not go well, I love everything about you and you're just perfect. What we recently released was a coloring and activity book. One of the things, and I don't know if I can share this or if it's okay to talk about it, Brandon was diagnosed with ADHD. And what I've done a lot of research on how affirmations and those type things have a positive effect on those children as well. But so we just kind of just been developing and going with that, reaching out into our community. But like I say, this whole thing started with what I thought was one of the worst moments of my life. To me, being a teacher and being an educator was what I worked my whole life for. And to just have that taken away, by something that I couldn't control. And I'm not blaming it on the principals. They had to make a choice. They needed what they needed for their kids. COVID, kidney failure, all of that just kind of led up to this moment. And I am determined that I will win this, that like COVID won't win, kidney disease won't win, whatever it is that we've got to do, because the main thing that I want him to see is that no matter what you face, you keep going. You keep, no matter how many no's, no matter how many letdowns, no matter how many door closes, you keep going, because at some point that everything is going to align just where it needs to be, how it needs to be. That's God is holding our hand the whole way. And he's never going to leave nor forsake you. You just got to have faith.
Yeah, I love that because, again, so many of us have experienced a lot of suffering, and sometimes we're not, the idea of suffering is kind of lost today, where it's, everything has to be done right the first time. And that perfectionist attitude is not real. I mean,
Absolutely
things just
not.
take time. You have to continue to do it over and over again. You have to perfect it. You have to get better at it. And so it will slow us down. And so, what you're doing, what you're sharing with us is there's something that needed to be formed. And it just took time, took a little bit of suffering. And yet what the results are things like Levi Studio and students being educated in a unique way now.
Right. Yes.
And so, we can't see that on this side though, right? No one wants to go through that. In fact, I was listening to, there's a great leader. I think his name is, I'll think about it. It was John Maxwell, actually. He was doing a big conference. Thousands of people were there, and he was doing one of his speeches, and a young person, maybe not as young as you, Brandon, but, a young guy, came up to him And he said, wow, John, that was such a great speech. Thousands of people listened to you. And he said, I want to do what you do. And John Maxwell's response was, you want to do what I do, but you don't want to do what I did to get here.
Absolutely.
And that's a tough statement. But what we're recognizing is in order to get into what we think is greatness, a lot of times it comes with difficulty, right? And suffering. So yeah, Brandon, so let's talk a little bit about, Valerie shared us a little bit about Levi Studio, and she's talking about how, she introduced you to some of the resources that she was working on. Was that something that you were initially excited about when your mom said, hey, let's start talking about resources and reading? How excited were you? And I say that kind of as a joke, but what were your first reactions?
After I agreed or before I agreed?
That's right. Before you agreed. Yeah.
Oh.
That's kind of just where he was. But I think once I showed him the TikTok videos, because
okay. Yeah. So yeah, tell me a little bit about right before, like, okay, Mom, I get it. Yeah, this seems important. And then tell me a little bit about that video that you're describing. So
I just saw videos like, oh, I see what you try to do. But I know that like she likes teaching a lot, so I know she likes to do anything, try to get back into that. And I think the books were a good idea, try to get back in connection with kids. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So initially you were kind of disinterested in reading, or it was difficult for you?
I couldn't sit down long enough.
Okay. And so after the TikTok video, what did you guys start working on?
Like book number 1.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about book number 1.
Good morning, Levi. And that is about how to start our mornings off with positive and how to get out of the bed. And yeah.
Okay. What do we say in the mirror? What are those things that we do? What does Levi do in the morning?
He says positive affirmations in the mirror.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And are there some that just kind of stick out to you? Some of the things that encourage you as you wake up in the morning?
He got out of bed with one try.
Yeah.
All right. But what is something that Levi says that we've been saying ever since we were a little kid, and it's your positive affirmation just for you? It's 2.
Which one?
I'm raising whichever one.
Okay. My mom likes to say, my mom likes to talk about how she was raising a great and powerful man, that's me. And he says I'm the fastest, I'm the strongest, I'm the smartest, I'm the best.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's the second.
So things that kind of encourage you when you kind of stand up and go, okay, today's the day. Got to tackle it, right? Got little battles in the morning.
I do that, and then I go to sleep again.
And then what?
And then I go to sleep again.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I do a couple snoozes. So my alarm will go off, and I'll hit the snooze button. It's like 9 minutes, and I'll start praying, and then I'll fall right back asleep. And then it'll go off, and I'll think about the day, and I'll start praying again. I'll fall back asleep. So I'm kind of like the 3 or 4 kind of snooze person, but I do it earlier in the day so that I can do those snoozes a little bit. But so yeah, so you're waking up and you're thinking about today, and but you also have a genuine love for reading, right? You like reading now.
Yeah, I like reading.
Okay. And what was your first book that you said, you know what? All right, I'm interested. Let me step into this.
Manga.
Okay.
Like One Piece.
Okay, One Piece. Now, One Piece is a pretty long manga, right? It's got a long story, right?
Yeah.
Are you caught all the way up? No? Okay.
You have the whole set?
Not the whole set.
Okay, so just one box set. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. So One Piece is a good manga. I like King Luffy, right? Pirate?
Luffy.
King of the Pirates?
No, he's not King of the Pirates yet.
Okay, but he wants to be, right?
Yeah, he wants to be king.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things I love about Luffy is that he always asks people what their dream is. He'll be like, what's your dream? Because he'll always tell people his dream. Do you know what his dream is?
I'll become the king of the pirates.
I'll become king of the pirates one day. That's right. Yeah. And then he's like, what does he ask other people?
Like they tell them, usually they tell him, their dream, and then he says his dream.
That's right.
Or like he's about to lose, but he gets motivated by his dream.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And one of the cool things he'll say is, you want to join me? I love that. He's like, hey, if you don't have a dream, if you're not too sure, like, why don't you join me in my dream? Yeah. And they become really good friends, right? A lot of times. And then they actually join him and they become part of his crew, which is a really cool little story. And so it's about friendship, right? It's about having dreams. It's about pursuing your dreams. And so, yeah, and that helps kind of even motivate all of us to say, hey, this is something that we need to be looking into. So listen, I'm really excited the fact, that you're reading. And one of the things that you mentioned, when I was asking you before the podcast is you started using words like, what's the origin or something like that. And I love that, because one of the things that I love about hearing, when you're getting excited and you're sharing your story is it lets people like me know that you want to be serious and that you have responsibility that you want to take. Now, we all have to learn to kind of get into that responsibility and work through that. But I'm telling you, when the way you're talking and the way that you're encouraging, just throughout your story, it makes adults think that you're ready for that next level, whatever that is for you. And so I'm just highly encouraged for your passion for reading. So you're doing a great job. All right. So is it just One Piece? Are you reading some other mangas too, or where are you at?
I finished Demon Slayer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty good. Also,
what's your reading now? What's in the car?
Naruto.
Yeah.
Naruto. Okay. All right. So do you have a list out of those three? What are who's number one in the manga series for you?
Definitely One Piece.
Definitely One Piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. They actually came out with a live action, on one of the streaming services. It's like one of the first seasons or whatever. It looks pretty good.
It's 1 hour long for each episode.
Yeah, that's right. Like, that's a pretty big stretch there. So having a love for reading is something that we all need, and that's what you have a passion for. Because one of the things that we notice is that as we're reading, we can really gravitate to anything. If you want to learn something, you can read it, absolutely. and you can learn it. But also having people supporting you, and that's one of the things that you're talking about. It's not just the ability to do it; it's having a support system that's willing to encourage you to continue to move forward. So tell me a little bit about how Levi Studios is continuing to do that in our city.
So, I have an amazing support system. My family, my sisters, and my mom. And one of the things that they say is that I always have them in the middle of something. You know, wherever I see a need, that's kind of just where I go. Mm-hmm. So we've just, entrepreneurship is all about people. People want to make money, those type of things, but we just like to give back as well. Anything that we can do at our church, we're very involved with the youth ministry there. Just last year, we hosted a youth prayer breakfast where it was open to the public, absolutely free to the kids. And we kind of just came in and we did different workshops for the students on their prayer life, motivating them, some things and stressors that they are at school and how to relieve those stresses. I make sure to provide them with plenty of resources that they can use as well. And then one of the highlights of that was I had each parent write a personal letter to their students to open. And that became very emotional. I think what our kids need most of the time, and I just, even with Brandon, sometimes we just forget to tell them, hey, we're your support system. We got you. So those types of things. We're going through this summer. Brandon has, he's a student at Furlough Charter School in the 6th grade this year. He got really interested in the chess club. And he started out at school, but taught himself a lot of moves on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So he was interested in starting a summer chess league after the club ended at school. So we actually hosted a summer chess league at Lake Blackshear Library. We had about 30 students from Americus and surrounding areas and also local volunteers. So we did that the entire summer, mixed in with just like some motivational things, encouragement. And we ended it in the summer, but the parents are asking that we continue it. So we're looking at continuing that as well. And then we are also available. We've been to different workshops Buena Vista in the Americus area. Just going out, reaching kids, motivating kids, wherever we can provide free resources to those kids. Because like we're in Americus, we know that this is a low income area and not everybody has those resources. And one of the things that I don't want to see is that a child is not able to do what they need to do because resources are not provided. So wherever I can, I'm doing that as well. There's a literacy coalition here in Americus that's started by our mayor, Sumter Soul. Levi Studios is a part of that. And what that initiative is doing is from birth to, older in age, what we can do to improve literacy here in our community. So it's a group of us, people that are already established with organizations like Levi Studios. And we're here and what we can do to actually provide literacy opportunities for not only children here in America, it's for the adults as well. Because, it starts from the top down. Yeah. If the parents are getting the resources they need, the help they need, then we can be able to help those students as well. A lot of times it's not that parents aren't interested in helping their children, but when you just don't know how. So what that organization and organization like Levi Studio is, we're providing those resources for parents. What we recently just done, I saw the effect of what we were doing. And I really didn't understand ADHD is something that we think, hey, the kids are hyper, they just need to sit down. But when you get down into the research of it, as me trying to help Brandon, I realized how much those resources parents need it as well to help their children. So what our latest initiative is providing resources that are easy for parents to read, affordable, so that they can actually help their children manage ADHD, because it's a lot to it. Like I say, I saw the positive effect that it had on Brandon, like me changing, how we start our mornings, how we do our homework routine, and just making sure that parents have those as well. But I'm a down home Americus girl. I love Americus. Everything about Americus is not positive. We have much to improve, but as long as I can, for as much as I can, I'm here for whatever I can do. If I see somebody posting on social media, hey, we're doing this, especially for the kids, I don't times say publicly, hey, here's a donation, but I'm a behind the scene person as well. I can lead and follow. So like donating to it to just make sure that whoever that's doing whatever in this community that's especially supporting the children, that we do our part in helping them as well. Yeah. Americus is, I want to see it grow. I see it growing, but the people that are going to make it grow and help us continue to thrive are our children. And if we don't invest in them in the right ways, then, what do we have left as a community? Yeah. So Levi Studio is just, I tell people I'm a professional volunteer now. We're all over the place, helping with whatever effort we can.
I love it. And I love this chess club idea too. So my son, Judah, he's 13. And Brandon, he would love to play you in chess. It takes a lot. There's a lot of strategy in it. And so are you like YouTube and all the stuff, trying to learn how to do or do you just play what you got?
Yeah. Play what I got.
Okay. One of my moves I like to do is the castle. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Do you ever do that?
I don't really know how to.
Okay. Well, it's kind of a little bit of I like to hide my king every now and then. So we'll have to get you over to play, Judah. He would love to do that. So yeah, but things like that, just getting people involved, getting students involved, especially with things like that really push you to strategize, right?
Right.
And not just sit and play, which, games are fine. Video games are fine if they have their limits, right? But when you're talking about things like chess, it really pushes your mind to think through. I gotta look at the next 6 steps before I even take this one. So that's really, really awesome. So we would love to hear a little bit more about that as well. So you mentioned a little bit of just some like you mentioned, like every town, there's a couple issues, whether that's in getting resources, knowing what resources are available. There are a lot of networks I feel like are in Americus. And they're, as you mentioned before, some people say, oh, I missed that event. And you're just like, well, it's here, So I think one of the things that we could do better as a community is to find out what resources are available, what the networking is, and try to communicate a one kind of communication avenue so that people will know that there are things that are happening, even with youth, to be able to plug into. Because not everything you have to create. Some things you just can bring students to.
Absolutely.
Like the Levi stuff. And so I think it's really important that we find out a little bit more about that. You agree with that?
Absolutely. I think that in the past couple of years, Americus has done a lot of work with kind of revamping things. Our downtown Main Street crew, they're amazing. They do a good job. But I do find that a lot of people are saying, hey, I didn't know that this was available. So just looking at ways where we can do our part as far as saying, hey, this is what we can, advertising more. This is what we can do to help get the word out. Those type of things. We have a lot of Facebook groups and everybody's on there. So just doing that as well. But just, I would like to see more of a united effort of everybody coming together, working together to make this work. We're not bigger towns. We're smaller. We have a small network. Everybody pretty much knows everybody. So just getting together so that it can be more. What I find is that when we have a core group of people that are working hard, that are getting things done, but I would like to see that network expand so that people, especially people in different demographics, we tend to find that people that are more in certain different demographics. And I don't think it's through any fault of our leadership. They're more informed of what the resources are because they know where to look and those type things. So just helping get that information out so that all demographics, all people can benefit from it as well. Like, I love the way that there has been a uptick in being more diverse in what we're offering. The summer is filled from the sheriff department to all type of grassroots organizations with things that are available to kids. So I just want to see more of us take advantage of it as well. And I think part of it is being able to advertise it, get it out there, working with the Times Recorder, the local radio stations, podcasts like yours and others that are there so that those resources can be utilized more effectively. And also kind of look at what's not working. Hey, we're doing this and we think it's a great idea, but maybe it's just not working and we need to revamp and regroup as well. Yeah.
And that's hard, because it's somebody's
baby.
Yeah, baby. But I do think it's important. Again, sometimes that no means that if we merge together, that we work together, we consolidate these ideas, we can actually be more effective over time. Right. And I love what you said because it's going back to neighboring. One of the things that you said is, I don't mind leading or just being a part and volunteering.
Absolutely.
And I think to be a next level neighbor, that's got to be a key piece to that because sometimes you have to lead. I'll walk into a room or I'll walk into a meeting and there's no clarified leader.
Right.
And so I'll wait for about 30 seconds. And if nobody wants to lead, I'll lead. I'm here. I want to make sure because I want to lead in such a way that's helping and serving other people and getting people connected. But if there is someone who starts speaking and I just notice, oh man, they're a leader, then I'm totally fine with just supporting. And so we need more of that.
Right.
Because it is hard. People say leadership is hard. Change is hard, but it's the hardest for the leader because the leader is always making the change. And so they don't like change because they're always the one that makes it. And so reminding yourself, hey, I need to be a part of something that's even bigger than myself because sometimes I got to get used to not having to change too. I think is really important. So that's a really great way to kind of help define what it means to be a good neighbor is someone who's willing to lead, but also willing to follow at any time. And so that's one of the things that I feel like what you guys are doing is going to be so impactful for our city because it's a true story. It's a story that has a lot of grit, a lot of courage, and that's what I love. The grit of just saying, I'm not going to let something shake me. I'm going to shake it. Like, you keep coming and you're going to find out who you're messing with kind of thing, right? So that's exciting. And I hope that we can network a little bit more too as a community because like you said, the more we network, the more we'll see, hey, we have something on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Right. Why don't we utilize that? Maybe do it all on Friday or, hey, let's spread this out so we can do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Everyone knows what's going on.
Right.
So we definitely need to be doing that. So you talked about your current projects right now. So you've got a book out, you got a coloring book out, and you got some other resources on levistudio.com.
Yeah. How's that? www.levistudio.llc.com.
Okay, llc.com. All right. Are you guys working on any new projects right now as well?
So we have, we're in a debate about what our next project
All right.
what our next project is going to be. All of our books are based off issues that we're having and how we kind of work through them. So when we work through them, we want to share our story with everyone else. One of the biggest obstacles or debate that we've had within the last year for me has been hair. Brandon wanted to change his hairstyle and wear it a certain way. Brandon being comfortable with his natural hair and how it looks and how to care for it. So that's what the next project in my mind is Locks of Love. And just, encouraging African American boys to love their hair no matter what it is and just to embrace it.
Yeah.
Brandon's next project that he wants to work on.
Do you mind sharing, Brandon?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
No, she go.
No, go.
It's about your favorite person that you visit on the weekend. You wanted to book with who?
Wait a minute.
You wanted to book about who?
Wait a minute. I know I said my dad, but
Okay.
you can't even talk about you Locks of Love. Because you've been doing everything but Locks of Love.
So Brandon feels
This is great. This is the creative. We're seeing the brainstorming right now.
So Brandon feels that I take on a lot of other projects and I've kind of been abandoning Levi's Studio, the book part of Levi's Studio.
Yeah.
So he's encouraging me to do it.
To make the book. We've been had this book. We already decided on Locks of Love. She has everything out, so my idea was over. Yeah.
No, we were going to do... This is the creative process.
Yeah, I love it.
So we're going to do Locks of Love first, and then we're going to do With You and Your Dad, correct?
Yeah, but still, you have Locks of Love in there for a year.
Yeah, it's there, and we've edited and we revised. And the next step would be to send it to our illustrator, which we it's
I thought the next step was to sponsor every single body, and if I'm not ready,
no. Yeah. So he feels so we're gonna move forward with Locks of Love. Brandon also felt like we needed some merchandise, so he has designed and come up with our first merchandise. We have water bottles, and he wants. We looked at notebooks for kids and journals as well, because he does like to write and draw. So we've looked at some of those as well. But he's kind of been helping design with it as well. Yeah. So when we started out, Brandon wasn't a reader, and he wasn't a writer, and so it was kind of more of him telling me his ideas, and then moving forward with it. I think when he was in third grade, Brandon was actually. They wanted to retain him. So just going through and doing these books and having him help with that part, the creative process. I had actually attended a conference this morning where they said writing was one of his strongest features. He's testing well. So I'm just proud of the growth and what we've been able to do. And so whatever, and like I told him, the goal for this is, I started it. It was my idea, but I want to teach you so that when I pass the baton, that you're able, if you want to continue with Levi Studios or go in another direction. Yeah. So I kind of let him have creative. But Locks of Love was already there, and we kind of going. So that is the next book. Yeah. And I have promised him to take a step back from some of my projects, which we do have the prayer breakfast coming up as well. We looking at around the kids' fall break. So we're going to do another prayer breakfast and then just focus on getting the books out, because he feels like that the books were helpful. They help kids, and more people want to see that. Yeah. And I agree. That's the original vision.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, two things. Number one, Brandon, you are an entrepreneur. You are talking with your mom about timelines and getting things done. You're talking about merchandise. I mean, these are things that 11-year-olds are not talking about. So that's exciting. Okay. That's really, really great. And you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to get a lot of no's too. Like your mom saying no right now. Like, we can't do that right now. Can't do that right now. So you're feeling those no's. Listen, that's molding you and shaping you. Okay. It's making it better. Sometimes we were like, hey, we want to hear yes. But sometimes if we don't hear a no, we won't make it better. And so you guys are constantly making those things better. So just be encouraged by that. I think that's really great. The second piece to that is, so as far as the material resources right now, Brandon, do you get a chance to get out there and kind of read the book, or do you guys do anything online where Brandon is engaging with the material or going to schools or anything like that? Can he do any of that?
No.
Well, are you offered the opportunity to go to schools and work with kids?
No.
So last year we went to Sumter County Primary, and we were there part of their career day. And Brandon was given the opportunity to go and work with kids. Brandon chose at that time that he didn't want to miss school. that his responsibility was to go to school and do that. So we've done some like short videos where he is, but that is a great next step for us to get him more engaged with it, because like even just me sitting here listening to him talk to you, like his ideas and how he thinks about it. Like you say, he's an entrepreneur. And so the kids at Sumter County Primary were really impressed last year that, hey, this is a kid the same age as us and he's making books. So I think in getting him more involved and being the face of going out and speaking as well. I try to kind of schedule things around when he won't have to miss school and those type things. But I do feel like that would be next steps for us as well.
Yeah.
And just and getting him more comfortable with being in the spotlight and talking. Because once he warms up, he's a really great speaker. He can carry a conversation. I just want to continue to build his confidence, because those are skills that he's going to need for a lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that you said, hey, I'd rather go to school and get my education. I mean, what? Come on. I mean, these are good things. That's exciting to me. So I think that's really great. And Brandon, I'm really, like I said, I'm encouraged by your story. And I do think that as you're continuing to build out about these stories, one idea is maybe to write a little book about how to have a good disagreement with friends or your mom, right? Because you're learning how to have conversations, you know, how to have hard conversations sometimes where we may not always agree. So those are really great. So yeah, let's go ahead. We're kind of getting to the end of the podcast. So just a few things. We talked a little bit about really even looking towards the future of Americus, talking about networking, trying to make these right connections. We talk about resourcing as far as our youth is concerned. What are some things that are really exciting for you with Levi Studio, but also just in the full scope of Americus? And who do you really enjoy working with right now?
So the full things that are exciting to me, I am really excited about our downtown Main Street, what they're doing and the resources, and then the Sumter Soul Literacy Committee as well, because I just see the vision, the work behind it. We just got a grant that where we're able to move forward with that, and I just think that'll be a really positive change in Americas and a great resource. As far as who I like to work with, I'm going to be honest. I've done a lot of work with our local library and the resources they have, things that I didn't know, even as a teacher, that were available to us as free resources, activities that you can do with your kids. Of course, we have to travel a little bit to get to those activities, but just working with Ms. Hope and everybody down at the library has been a pleasant experience. Everything that I've needed, they've really done that. They've been really positive with promoting and helping get that out there as well. And then as always, my church, UTBC, they're supportive, moving the youth department forward, and just working with them as well to get the resources that we're able to provide at the church out with them as well. I'm just excited overall just to grow. Like I see the growth in Americas. It's not like big growth and it's not huge thing, but little stuff happening over time. And growing up here from 1982 to 2024, and just to see the changes, where we're going, the positivity, even this podcast giving citizens a voice to be heard. I'm like, somebody actually mentioned to me maybe last year, hey, this would be a good opportunity for you. And I just I was a little shy at first, just sat back and started watching. And I'm just like, this is really something big going on in the community. So I just appreciate it all. I appreciate the talent that our kids have to offer and what's going on in the community. That our, not just kids, but in the community as well. There are a lot of talented people here from all sectors. The more vocal I am, just meeting people, networking with people that I never would thought that would be friends. And just through my journey of speaking out and just being a part of this community as an adult, is just making an impact. And so I'm just excited about it.
Yeah,
all of it.
Absolutely. And like I said too, that sometimes, like you said, when we're talking about networking and we're trying to, build out our story, a lot of times, someone gave me the example today. It was really good too. But he said, I want you to think about Mary Had a Little Lamb. I want you to think about that song, and I want you to tap to it. And so I started tapping to it, that particular song. And he goes, what are you thinking about? And I said, Mary Had a Little Lamb. He goes, all I hear is you tapping. And so sometimes as leaders, we're doing something because we have this vision, but people can't see it. They can't hear it just yet. They just hear tapping.
Right.
And so as you're networking with people and they're like, I don't know. Instead of just getting upset and getting frustrated that people don't want to listen, it's like maybe they're just hearing the tapping, just a little bit more time, a little bit more, and they're willing to be able to say, all right, yes, I'm in. And then that's when you really start to see things happen. And so just continue to move forward, continue to network with people, continue to do what you're doing. And Brandon, as you guys are writing books and talking through and just encouraging, some of your friends, what do your friends think about you helping write stories about Levi?
I don't really talk about it. I don't really bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is, so we mentioned the story, a few other stories that we want to see. What are some things that you hope for your friends? Like, do you think about how to encourage your friends sometimes? And
No.
I'm not so sure about that. We're not going to say his name because we don't know. But even last week, you had a friend that was really upset. And what did you do as a friend? What did you do?
Be friendly.
And did you stop and you gave him a what?
Hug.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do it in your own ways. I think sometimes you don't realize the things that you're doing, but as your mom, I sit back and I look at it and I'm like, that's a really awesome kid.
That's right. Yeah.
Like just even the stuff like at school, kids that don't have money to go to the concession stands. And I ask what happened to your extra money. And you're like, well, they didn't have money to get a drink. So you do things, and those small things matter to somebody. Like you are fortunate to be in a position where as a kid, you don't know what that feels like. But the fact that you thought enough to say, hey, I got some extra money. Let me go ahead and just make whoever's day and do that for them. Those are things that, qualities that a lot of adults don't have. And just to see that you as an 11-year-old think that way, you do a lot. I don't think you think about what you do, but I sit back and I watch. And the fact that I don't have to tell you, hey, share your money and you just do it on your own. Like that makes me proud. And it gives me hope because I'm pretty sure that there are other kids out there like you that are doing the same thing. So when we hear all these negative stuff about kids and there are kids out there doing the right thing and making a difference. And I want to be able to highlight more of that as well because they make a difference.
Absolutely. One of the things, Brandon, that adults have trouble with, parents and also teachers and other people, is it's very easy for us to recognize when someone's doing something wrong. And we want to acknowledge that, but we don't always pay attention to what someone's doing right and acknowledge that. And so these books are helping us to do that as well, is to help us to say, hey, listen, let's just not see the things that are wrong, but let's also see the things that are right. And let's also say, great job doing that. Do that again, over and over again. So what your mom just explained to you is the things that you're doing, keep doing those things. It's going to be a huge encouragement for you. And also for some of your friends too. So, well, listen, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It's been really, really great to get a chance to know you a little bit more, Valerie. Brandon, you did a great job. Again, youngest guest, just rocked it out. So let's talk a little bit more about One Piece after this and some, maybe we'll play some chess. And so we'll kind of get connected. But thank y'all so much. Keep doing what you're doing. We can't wait to hear some more stories. Go check it out. LeviStudioLLC.com, correct? All right. And y'all, hopefully we'll continue to network soon.
All right. Thank you for having us. I enjoyed.
Is there music playing in this part?
There is music playing in this part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. This was great. Y'all did great.
Thank you.
How do y'all feel? You did it.